Hello, welcome to Agatha's Kitchen. Today we're going to begin with some of the 7 fishes for the 7 fish Christmas dinner. Many of you younger Italians out there may not do it anymore because grandparents and great-grandparents have passed on and didn't leave any secrets. Well, I'm going to show you the modern version of this. My mother's family was Sicilian. They say that it gave the fishermen 7 days profit up to Christmas Eve so they could buy their presents for Little Christmas, which comes 12 days after Christmas. That way they had enough money. My dad's family was from Avellino, La Provincia, and they're Villanese. They said it was for the 7 sacraments. Either way, it needs 7 fishes. My mom used to cook raw clams. She would have that first, served with lemon juice or Tabasco or a little clam sauce. Then she would make anchovies with pasta. Well, there were only 5 or 6 of us that liked it, and usually 12 or 13 at our table. So we switched it off to pasta with clams, pasta con vongole, or pasta with little teensy scallops. Then came the salads. A bacala salad served kind of warm, room temperature, and an octopus salad also served room temperature. Then came the fried eels, the fried smelts, the fried squid. There's a lot of fried food, and if you don't like eel and squid, you're kind of out of luck. And then she would finish off with baked stuffed shrimp. Some families use lobster, some do not. It doesn't matter. Whatever 7 fishes you enjoy, that's what you should cook. But you should try some of the unusual ones like eel or octopus because they're really very good. The modern ones, or the ones I use today, I kind of cheat just a little bit. I do use the raw clams, and I use a pasta with clam sauce white. And then I use the bacala salad, the octopus salad, and then I use 1 casserole that features scallop, shrimp, lobster, and haddock. So I get 4 in one dish. This is a lot of food to have to cook in one day. You can cheat, and you can make some a couple of days ahead and get them prepared, and then that way the meat or the fish will absorb some of the juices that it's setting in. The 2 that I'm going to show you today are the octopus salad and the pasta con vongole white. No tomatoes, Christmas Eve. Well, let's get this list of things to do put aside so we can get to the actual things. Ask my students, they'll tell you. I used to do these all the time. So we're going to start with the sconza, or sauce, to put on the octopus when we get it finished cooking. What you're going to need is some Sicilian flavored olives. I like the pastine. If you have an Italian delicatessen near you where you can buy the cracked Sicilian olives, save yourself a lot of work. But if you don't, you're going to have to crack them. As my friend said, can't you leave them bone in? Yes, but it's just something nice you do. How do you crack an olive? By the way, you save the brine because I'm going to use the brine from this. I'm not putting these in my recipe, but this particular can, any can will do. Can of soup, can of tomatoes, can of anything. This poor can. About half a jar. And take out the bones. You don't need the bones. And the juice from a half a jar. I cracked these yesterday, hence the plastic apron. They make a mess. The juice goes all over everywhere. I've tried a hammer. I've tried a sledgehammer. I've tried a meat pounder, but the can seems to work the best. So I'm just going to dump those right in. About a cup of chopped celery. Once again, as my friend Matt says, I love my parsley. A little bit of parsley. And I'm going to use some capers. These have been soaking overnight because capers are cured with salt and water and they're very salty. The octopus comes from the sea. It doesn't need any more salt, and I don't salt it when I cook it. But we're going to add these. That's good. And I'm going to add some minced garlic. Yes, I know I should mince my own, but what the heck. This is all done, and maybe about a teaspoon or so of garlic. Sometimes a little more. Depends on if you have friends in who like garlic, fine. If you don't put it. I'm going to use, besides the brine from the olives, I am also going to use a little bit of oil. Yes, that is a wine stopper. I have had multiple different size corks. They're too big, they're too small, I can't get them out easy enough. This adjusts its size. Next best thing to sliced bread. And a little bit of red wine vinegar. Grandpa used to make wine, and it turned to vinegar all the time. But just a little tiny bit, because you do have your brine from your olives. And that is completely done. So easy. Parsley, garlic, celery. One more thing. Coarse black pepper. Just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to do what's called ramascatti. Ramascatti. And I'm just going to shake that up. Let it set, and I am going to stick it in my fridge. I almost forgot, before we go off to Oscar the Octopus in the sink and work on that project, let me show you what one looks like frozen. My friend Matt likens it to a wheel of cheese. This side is the body, and all the tentacles are wrapped around. And what you want to do is you want to soak it this way so that the warmer water eats away at the ice. And then when the tentacles start to pull away, and you can reach in and touch it, it's okay. You can start to pull it away. Then you can flip it over and do the body. Keep flipping it, and when the water gets really cold from the ice, dump it out, add a little more warmer water. So we got an octopus here, Oscar the Octopus, and this is the head. And you can see it looks like he kind of exploded out. And they've removed the ink sac, the intestinal system, the beak, the eyes. They've released all of that. We got a head, neck, a body, and we have 8 tentacles. Okay, tentacles are really, this one's quite big. Not as the biggest I've had, but as you can see, they go out quite a ways. Now, Oscar has been soaking in the sink since yesterday morning, about 24 hours. And they wrap the tentacles around the outside. So as it defrosts, I try to pull them away, dump out the cold water, and add something slightly tepid, and I keep working at it. It will defrost in about 4 hours if you want to stand here and be vigilant about emptying the cold, putting in the warmer, emptying the cold, putting in the warmer. But 24 hours is a safe bet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain Oscar and get rid of all the excess water so I don't have to carry it. And there we go. And Oscar the Octopus is almost ready to go into. So we're going to take him over to the sink now. And the reason I wore a plastic apron today is it's a messy job. So here we go, over to the stove. Well, we're going to take the pot off, cover off the pot, and it is a nice heavy rolling boil. A lot of pans here today. Okay, so I'm going to take the head, and I'm going to get all 8 of his tentacles. He's got a broken paw here. And I'm going to dunk in just the tentacles until they curl. Then I know, yeah, we got curled tentacles, yeah. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to drop that in, and I am going to take out some water. I am going to cover this, because if I don't, it'll take about 4 hours to cook. Covered, it will steam, and it will take about 2 hours to cook. However, the one thing you don't want to do is let it boil over. It makes the world's worst mess on your stove. Then you got to take everything off the top. You got to open the cover to the stove. All right, so he's already beginning to turn a kind of a cute shade of browny purpley pink. And I'm going to cover him over by Oscar. And I'm going to pop this just a little tiny bit so that when it does start to boil, it will not boil over. All right, that's going. It's going to take about 2 hours on my timer. Well, we're going to do a pasta con vongole bianco. Pasta with clam sauce, white. You can add tomatoes, but we don't do tomatoes in the 7-fish dinner. I'm going to start with a little bit of olive oil, not a lot, just a tiny little bit. And I cut up yesterday a little bit of white onion, about half of one about that size, not a lot. Okay. And parsley. My friend Matt says, I love parsley. I do. I love it because it's green. I love it because it's got a great flavor. But I have a tendency to sometimes use too much. And one year, the first year I made this, it was green and nobody would eat it. Tasted great, just looked a little funny. So I'm going to let that saute just a little tiny bit and get that going. So a little onion, a little parsley, a little olive oil, a little bit of minced garlic. Yeah, I know, people like to mince their own garlic, but I don't have the time to do that. So I said 1, 2, maybe 3, depending on if you got people that really like garlic. Okay, a little bit of coarse black pepper. You're not going to need any salt. Clams are salty. So I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Do not let it brown too much because it makes a funny looking color. And I'm using my olive wood spoon from my trip to Israel when we went to Bethlehem. I bought my olive wood spoon. You know, these are things you go to a restaurant and you buy and you say, oh, that's delicious. Yeah, you can follow a recipe, but it's really not hard. And this is something that is, it's good on a Friday. You can use canned clams. There's nothing wrong with them. The only thing is they're really tiny and they're minced within an inch of their life. I like to have my meat just slightly larger. So my clams are fresh. I bought them at C&C over in Peabody, and he's really wonderful. Call him up, ask him what he's got, what time it will be in. And he will take orders early for your 7 fishes for Christmas. He's very good about that. He has all the ones you'll need. Okay, I don't like it too brown. I know people like it browner, and I don't. So I have about 2.5 pounds. And like I said, they're pretty good size. And I'm going to put these in. This will cover about maybe 5-6 people. And I'm going to add some clam juice. Bahaba clam juice. Any clam juice is fine. But this is the Bahaba one. Just a little bit of clam juice, not a lot, maybe half a bottle. Make sure you shake it. I shook mine right after I opened it, so we're all set to go. And that's going to cook, well, about 12-13 minutes. No longer, it'll get hard. So, and we've got something that looks kind of good. And it will take about pound and a half of pasta. You don't want a lot, just enough of a taste, because remember, there are 7 fishes. You can also do this, same recipe, but change the clams for little teeny scallops. This is looking a little thick, so I'm going to just add a tiny bit more water, just a little bit. That's better. So that's going to cook. And I'm going to leave that there. And I'm going to let that cook. I like to keep this open so that I can watch it 10 to 12 minutes. Maybe a little more clam juice. This is also the recipe if you're really brave and want to do anchovies. You can do the garlic, the parsley, the onion, little olive oil, little water, and you can throw in a can of anchovies. And then when it's totally done, just add a few walnuts. That's a Viennese way to do it. I did it the Sicilian method. And like I said, you go out to restaurants, you eat this, and you say, gee, I could make that at home, and it's really easy. These are things we've made for centuries. You may never have seen how it's made. Now you've seen it, it's easy. It really is. So we're going to start the water going. Okay, let's go try something else. So we made our clam sauce earlier. Oscar the octopus is cooking terrifically. And those are 2 things that you can definitely make ahead of time so you're not cooking 7 fishes in one day. That's tough to do. So I've got, well, yeah, that's boiling. Okay, and I'm just gonna pop this in here. Today we're using linguini, which is just a little bit thicker. And I do usually cover my macaroni uncovered. But today, to make it go quickly, I'm going to cover it up. And I'm going to check on Oscar. He's boiling along nicely. There we go. That's going to cook. I'm going to set my table, and I and my camera crew will sit and have lunch. Pasta con vongole. Pasta with white clam sauce. Okay, let's get that table set. Well, drained my pasta, made my clam sauce. That looks good. And I am going to, as we say in Italian, rummiscati, or toss, mix up. I don't know how it tastes, but it smells wonderful. And you can dig down because they have a tendency to sink to the bottom. Well, I wish you were here for lunch. It's a tasty one today, I hope. And there we go. We are ready to eat. So, I've tasted it twice before. I gave it an extra 10 minutes. This should be about ready. Slippery little sucker. Okay. And I'm gonna, like I said, taste from the big end. Perfection. Remember Oscar from the sink? That great big 9-foot span? Well, kind of a lot smaller. Reminds me, I don't know, is it Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean? He's cooked, he's done, he's a nice pinky color. I'm going to cut off the 8 tentacles and cut those first. Let me get those here. There is a little bit of skin that comes loose. Now, my only other cousin that makes this meal, he takes the skin off. I kind of like it. So, Oscar does not. This particular little octopus was not a happy camper. He did not want to be cooked today. And so he's been very slippery to handle. But let me get all my tentacles in a row here. And then I'll move my pan so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to cut it into about inch and a quarter slices. I know a lot of Japanese restaurants serve it as an hors d'oeuvre. Here we go. One more tentacle. And my friend Matt cooked his first one this past Christmas. And he didn't think his family would eat it if they saw all the suction cups. So Matt cut off all the suction cups. But his family declared that it was delicious, and yeah, they would have eaten the suction cups. The suction cups do not function once the poor boy is cooked. So I'm going to put this right here. And I'm going to bring my olive, celery, parsley, garlic, and I'm going to just put that there. And I'm just going to cut. Now, I usually go with my cousin 2 or 3 days before Christmas Eve, and we go into Boston, out on the fish pier, and we pick up all of the fishes that we need. And he buys it by the case because between he and his cousin on his other side of the family, they need to cook 3. Sometimes you get lucky and you get 4 in a case. I think I paid about $90, but if you purchase one of these in Market Basket, it runs about $40. But I kind of cheated. The first year I just took any old case and I got 4, and he only got 3. This is best served slightly warm. Room temperature is good. And this would go, in the course of the plan of the meal, would go the clams, raw clams first, pasta with something second. This and the bacala salad would go third, and then your main course last. Then, of course, fruit and nuts, and of course, lastly, your dessert. A lot of food. And in the old days, we barely had time to clean up, shove the last piece of dessert in our mouth, and head out to midnight mass. So, and there was one other thing my mother used to cook, and I have yet to try, and that is the fried dough, the tsepeli. So, once it's cooked and you try it, what does it taste like? Kind of like squid. A little bit like squid, but it's a little bit harder than shrimp. It's about the consistency of squid, but because it is a bigger animal, it's a little denser. Yes, you can eat the head, and I'm going to cut it up. You need to be a brave person. Most people who try it say, well, it really didn't have any taste. They're right, it doesn't. But those Sicilian olives and the capers and the celery and the parsley give it a wonderful, wonderful flavor. When you take this out, if you do not have a second oven to put on keep warm, please do not put this in the microwave. It'll be like shoe leather, and you don't want to do that. You've spent so much time and effort cooking that you really don't want to do that. We're almost all done. Where can I get this besides Boston? I know the Market Basket in Chelsea has them. I've never seen it at the Market Basket near me in Salem, but I'm told that if you want to order one, they will get it for you. And it is by weight, but they're usually about, well, they're about $40. So, and we're almost all done at the end of the cooking show here. And this is definitely something that will marinate in the fridge. Get all those juices flowing in there. So it's definitely something you can make the day before your 7-fish party. And we are done, believe it or not. Well, this little tablecloth bit the dust. Little ramascotti. And of course, a little taste. Great. Well, Italian cooking is complicated. The 7-fish dinner is labor intensive. But by planning ahead, by doing this, your bacala and your clam sauce. Today I did the octopus, the polpi, and the clam sauce. You can make life a little easier for yourself. So remember, buona salute è la vera ricchezza. Good health is true wealth. Have a nice day.